Well, thank you very much, Melissa, and all the team at Charitable Travel. It's great to be supporting you and to be part of this Mediterranean month. And thank you very much to Costa, and a great presentation on Cyprus as well. So here we go. What I'll try and do is those of you that haven't been to Gibraltar before, we'll do a bit of a whistle-stop tour, as Melissa described it, of our destination. And the ones that are familiar and have been to Gibraltar before, hopefully this presentation will refresh some of the elements, and there might be some stuff that you might not be familiar with and you might not have seen before. So without further ado, next slide, please. So here we are. This is where Gibraltar is, just to remind you, or just to let you know where we are, right down there, and the southern tip of the Iberian Peninsula. And there we are, as you can see, a shard of rock that juts out into the Mediterranean, pointing towards the coast of Morocco, surrounded by the Mediterranean Sea, and joined by an isthmus, that a narrow piece of land that joins us to Spain. And as you can see, that isthmus is now our runway. And then you've got the border just the other side of the runway, and when the planes land, the barriers go down, and then when they come to a standstill, then the barriers open and you make your way into Gibraltar. So very compact, but absolutely full of things to see and to do. And as you can see, the top half of the rock is very green, and that's we know that as the upper rock, and then the town of Gibraltar just below, and the beaches, etc. As you make your way around the rock. There we have it, Gibraltar in a nutshell. Next slide, please. So you'll all be very, very familiar with some of the more well-known facts about Gibraltar. The monkeys, the Barbary macaques, and this is one of our members of staff making their commuting to work in the morning. And next slide, please. St. Michael's Cave, absolutely tremendous natural cave. We'll get on to some of the developments that have been taking place there, and the sound quality in there is absolutely amazing, and that's why it's one of our leading venues for concerts and presentations and things like that. Next slide, please. And of course, Main Street, the shopping. There's no VAT in Gibraltar. Great value for luxury goods, watches, jewellery. As the shop will say there, you can see there, perfume, cosmetics, white goods, electrical goods, and cigarettes and alcohol. And because there's no VAT, it is extremely good value. And it's sterling, of course. I will mention that a couple of times as we go along. So those are kind of some of the more sort of well-known aspects about that Gibraltar is very well known for. So, but what we'll do is dig and scratch the surface and see what else that there is. Next slide, please. So we'll go through some of our tourism products, just to refresh your memory. Next slide, please. And here we have the Mediterranean steps. they lead from the town of Gibraltar down below, all the way up to Upper Rock, that take you right up to the rock, to the top of the rock. You can get the cable car up and walk back down, or you can walk up and down. It takes, I think, to walk up and back down again, it'll take about an hour and a half at a leisurely pace. But what you will see from there are absolutely stunning views. And you know, people jog up and jog back down again. I don't think I'd attempt it myself. Certainly not after a hearty lunch in Gibraltar in some of the many restaurants. But it is really, really great way of exploring the Upper Rock and enjoying the walk up to the top of Rock or back down again. Next slide, please. And we'll have a short video. Thank you. I hope you got the sound on that. Did you get the sound on that, Melissa?
I did.
Excellent. So, yeah, you would have seen from some of those images, it's all about making your way to the top of a rock, the thrill seeker trails that we've got, and obviously the views that you get, the 360-degree panoramic views that you get, are unparalleled, really, and one of the few places on Earth where you see two continents and three countries all within a short distance, with obviously Spain, British territory, and Morocco just across the Straits of Gibraltar, and obviously the Europe and Africa. So just fascinating, and you know, as I said, when you make your way to the top of the rock, the absolute stunning views that you get from there are unparalleled. Here we see the Skywalk, again, part of our thrill seeker experience, and it's a viewing platform. It was opened by Mark Hamill from Star Wars fame, and it's a glass floor viewing platform, and when you look through your legs and your feet, there's a massive drop to the beach below. So a great viewing platform there. Next slide, please. I mentioned earlier, if you don't want to walk up to the top of the rock, you've got the cable car. It runs every few minutes. I think the journey time is about 3 minutes to get to the top of the rock. Once you're at the top of the rock, there's the Upper Rock cable car station that's about to be redeveloped. I don't have any pictures right now, but watch this space, because there's already a really good restaurant and they do absolutely amazing cocktails. and the views up there are absolutely stunning. But there's also a traditional gift shop and cafe and other viewing platforms as well. And you get a lot of the monkeys that hang out up there. So some really good photo opportunities as well. Next slide, please. The Windsor Bridge, that is again not for the faint-hearted. You can only walk across it, and it stretches across that that valley, that canyon, and again with absolutely stunning views over the bay. Next slide, please. And of course, you've got our dolphin safaris, our boat trips. We've got 3 types of dolphins in the waters surrounding Gibraltar. That's the common, the striped, and the bottlenose dolphins. I've been told that people have seen turtles and whales as well. I haven't seen any yet, but every time I've gone out on a dolphin safari, I've never been disappointed, because you always come back having seen dolphins, and they come get really close to the boat and they swim under the boat, and it's I can never get tired of it, and it's just amazing. And it's a great few hours out, and the views again, because you're making your way around the Rock of Gibraltar, are absolutely stunning. Next slide, please. I mentioned St Michael's Cave, and here you see that it is also a concert venue because of the acoustics. But again, the rock formations, very much a living cave, and the rock formations continued with the stalagmites and stalactites, and they continue to form. Next slide, please. And then you've got the lower St Michael's Cave, and if you can just about make him out, there's one of the tour guides there with a hard hat, and you can book a tour and you can explore the lower St Michael's Cave, and again, it's well lit and very dramatic, and a great experience. Next slide, please. And of course, you've got the history of the rock going back to the early 1700s. Here you see the great siege tunnels that were dug to defend the rock against the invading French and Spanish forces that tried to retake possession of Gibraltar. And these were near enough dug by hand because of the lack of equipment and technology that the forces had at the time, and they obviously did a good job because it remained and to this day in British hands. Next slide, please. Next slide. The Alameda Gardens, a great respite. It's in town, and it's a great park, and great respite from the intense heat that you would get during the summer months, with some nice shaded areas. You also got the wildlife park. Next slide, please, where a lot of protected species are either rescued from illegal shipping that's making their way through the Straits of Gibraltar. Obviously, the Straits of Gibraltar's gateway between the Atlantic and the Mediterranean, and vice versa, making their way through from the Atlantic into the Mediterranean. The shipping lanes then continue to the Suez Canal. So really busy shipping lane, and unfortunately, there's some illegal animal shipping. So the animals are rescued. They're brought to a wildlife sanctuary, and you can visit them, and you always get new animals, and there's a lot of endangered species. So again, some nice fun, and that's in Alameda Gardens. Next slide, please. Relatively new, we've got the e-bikes. You can either hire them and do a tour by yourself, or you can do a guided tour, and the guided tour will take you all around the rock. We'll do some commentary about highlighting all the highlights of Gibraltar, and eventually when the restrictions start easing, you can then the organizer will also be doing tours into Spain and the surrounding areas. So it's a great way of discovering without having to pedal too hard to the top of the rock, the whole of Gibraltar, and whilst being outside. You've got the stand-up paddleboarding as well. Again, great fun, some great tuitions, and open to everyone to do. And you can learn to paddleboard on one of our beaches. So again, some good outdoor fun for the family. Next slide, please. This is more my type of fun. This is craft gin distillery, quite unique, and it's really delicious gin. That it uses the campion seeds of the campion plant that is unique to Gibraltar to brew their the spirit of the rock gin. And Peter, the owner, will give you a tour of the distillery, explain the history that goes way back to 1704 when the British and Dutch forces initially took possession of Gibraltar, and gin originating from Holland. The forces were emboldened by a shot of gin, and the saying "Dutch courage" comes from them. Next slide, please. This is relatively new as well. We're hoping that this will be opening before the end of the year. It's our wine vaults with some really expensive wines, private collections of wines, but they'll also be doing wine tastings, and there'll be some catering there as well. So quite interesting development there. Next slide, please. And this will be a short film about what's happening at St. Michael's Cave. Just to say, the awakening of St. Michael's Cave, it's a new development as an attraction that's going to be opening soon, if it hasn't already opened, in St. Michael's Cave, and it's described as an immersive light and sound experience. I can't really tell you much more than that. It's very exciting. It's the tech that's gone into it is the people that work at Pixar and Disney and stuff like that. All very exciting. It's opening. So again, watch this space, and I'm sure there'll be lots of chat about it further down the pipeline. This will give you a bit of a reminder on how easy it is to get to Gibraltar. Next slide, please. So London City Airport with BA City Flyer, that's a new service that's just started this year. You've also got Gatwick Airport with EasyJet, Heathrow, British Airways, Luton Airport with Wizz, that's a new service. Birmingham, that's a new service as well with Eastern Airways. Bristol, EasyJet, Edinburgh, relatively new service. They did announce it a couple of years back, but we know what's happened, but now it's started to operate. Manchester, EasyJet, and Southampton with Eastern Airways. So I don't think we've ever had such a rich and comprehensive schedule of flights than what we've got now. And as you know, it's only 2 hours and 45 minutes to get to Gibraltar. So a little bit about the requirements to get into to Gibraltar. As you know, it's on the green list. I won't go into too much detail here because things change quite rapidly. So the only thing I could really say is advise you to either speak to Charitable Travel, that will have the latest information to hand, or to visit our website, visit Gibraltar.gi, and from there you'll see a tab on all the information that you need to get into Gibraltar and what the requirements are, etc. Next slide, please. We'll skip quickly through our hotels. We've got 6 hotels in Gibraltar. Fantastic Elliott with a rooftop swimming pool. Next one. 4-star in town. The 5-star Sunborn Yacht Hotel, permanently moored 5-star yacht that's purpose built as a hotel. The Rock, the iconic Rock Hotel with stunning views over the bay. Also 4-star. The Bristol Hotel, great 2-star hotel in town and just around the corner from Main Street. And last but not least, Holiday Inn Express, that's just across the runway, and again very accessible to pretty much everywhere in Gibraltar. Next slide. Oh, of course, the Coletta Hotel. Again, they're spending a huge amount of money redeveloping and adding a whole wing and all sorts of stuff. But obviously on the Catalan Bay beach and beautiful views there overlooking the Mediterranean. Next slide, please. So a couple of key points just to reiterate again. A pound is worth a pound. It's sterling zone, so no exchange rate, and just makes it very, very easy. The British pound is legal tender in Gibraltar. Next slide. Well, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed what you saw about Gibraltar, and I hope I enlightened you in some aspects to what Gibraltar's all about. And thank you very much.
You absolutely did. Again, as I confessed earlier on, I haven't been to Gibraltar either. Although since the green list, I have been looking, as I've been looking at all the hotels, and Vanessa asked, have the museums opened yet since COVID? So kind of not sure whether that was to Costas or to Robin.
In Cyprus.
But both can answer.
Yeah, in Cyprus they are open, yes.
And most of the attractions are operating normally under the existing conditions, where face mask has to be worn and social distancing and various things.
Right.
But a lot of the attractions have opened.
Right. Robin, is Gibraltar accepting the NHS app as proof of vaccination?
No, but they're accepting
so you need to get the printed certificate.
The printed, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, got it. Yeah. Turning, Angela's got a question. If visiting visiting Gibraltar as a side trip from Spain, what's the nearest town city to use as a base? And are the monkeys scary?
It all depends if you're afraid of monkeys. No, they're like
Not
dogs.
hostile.
I'm answering it in reverse order. They're like dogs. If you annoy a dog, then he'll bite you. So the monkeys are there. They're wild creatures, and if you social distance, then you'll be totally fine with them. But they are wild animals. But they are, they are used to, and they've all been inoculated and everything else. Cut long story short, I wouldn't poke one in the eye, because it might not be too happy with you doing that. And the nearest point from Spain already depends. I mean, Malaga's a couple of hours up the road. I don't know if that answers that one.
Algeciras is the nearest.
La Linea is
La Linea.
is the town that's literally just across our frontier, but there's no airport there. So the nearest airports that in Spain would be Malaga on the Spanish side.
Thank you. Costas, I had a question. You mentioned about combining destinations within Cyprus. How is it a popular island to do a fly drive? So you would deliberately book, I don't know, three nights in one place, 2 nights in another, 3 nights in another, or is it too small to justify doing that?
No, this is actually a good idea, because we also drive on the left side of the road in Cyprus. So, and the roads are not very busy at all. So it's a good idea to do a tour, even a 3-center holiday in Cyprus. I would recommend one center to be in the mountains, and perhaps one in Paphos and one in Limassol or Ayia Napa.
I could tell earlier that you're a big fan of Troodos.
Of the mountains, yes.
So if someone were to do that, they could do, say, a week by a beach and then maybe another week touring around.
Yeah, and they can stay in 2 or 3 different resorts in the mountains or elsewhere. In the winter, there is even some snow in the mountains, so somebody can actually ski in Troodos in the winter.
I've never known, considering the temperatures you were talking about earlier.
Yeah,
think,
but
wow, it's got to be high.
It's 2,000 meters high, so it's quite high. Yeah.
Going to be. Robin, I had a question about sort of length of stay. There's obviously a lot more to do in Gibraltar than I might have imagined and thought, and a growing number of attractions. Typically, is Gibraltar regarded as a short break destination, or what kind of length of stay would be right to ensure you don't miss anything?
Well, what we can go by is average durations, which is kind of telling about what people enjoy to do and the length of stay. And the average duration for our British visitors is about 5 nights. Okay. And so a good short break destination. You've got the frequency of the flights that lends itself to a good short break. It's like the best of both worlds. You've got like a city break with the shopping, the town and the attractions and everything that you can do there. But you've also got beaches. So because we were one of the few, we were the only green list Mediterranean destination up to recently. People were coming for longer stays, and they were coming with their families and taking advantage of the beaches, etc. But in usual circumstances, I would say a really good short break destination. And repeat as well. You've got the nice hotels, the restaurants, the cafes, and everything else, and of course the wonderful shopping, and blessed by the weather.
Yes, absolutely. I was thinking, Costas, about, I think everyone's heard of the famous resorts in Cyprus, and get a sense of what each of the cities and resorts are for. But I was wondering, with your knowledge, whether you had one or two hidden gems where people could go and get a real, by the sea, but a real sense of Cyprus from, almost before the tourists, but less disturbed, but more peaceful.
Yeah, the region north of Paphos, which is the Polis Lachi area, which is okay. It could be quite busy during the peak months of let's say July and August, but if you're there in the autumn or the spring, it's not so crowded. And of course, between Paphos and Polis is the national park of Akamas, where the turtles hatch their eggs. And yeah, this is a very nice region. Further along, you have the Baths of Aphrodite, which are also in this area. And there is a lot of nature trails in this area that people can do that are by the sea, and at the same time see some of the the nice nature there.
Oh, that's a great recommendation. Thank you. I have another question in chat, which is a question for both. So I'll start with Robin. Again, from this one's from Ali. For someone who's never visited the destination before, what's the one thing you absolutely have to do or experience on your first visit, Robin?
At the top of my head, it's something that would please absolutely everyone, is make your way to the top of the rock, have a cable car, walk up on the Mediterranean steps, and have one of their cocktails at the top of the rock, and enjoy the scenery. So that would be a must for me.
That sounds amazing, and with the views as well.
Yeah,
absolutely incredible. And Costas, the same question to you. If you first time visitor, what have you one thing have you absolutely got to do?
Well, as I mentioned already, the Akamas Peninsula is quite interesting, and of course, I mentioned during the presentation the Curium, which is this amphitheater. If you can catch a performance there if it's a local artist, okay, they might sing in Greek or I don't know, but there is also some international performances there that one can watch, and it's a very nice setting because the sea is in the background, and it's normally very, very nice and serene, and then you hear the music and you see the landscape is pretty amazing.
You've both been selling your destinations extremely well, and we're feeling, I think, like everybody, that, oh my God, we've got to go. We've got to get away. I'm mindful of the time. In the absence of other questions, it's 8 o'clock. So I would like to thank Robin and Costas for taking us through the presentation this evening, for giving us your insights and your experience for your destinations, and really inspiring us to, if we haven't visited, to visit soon, and if we have already been to your destination, to go back. Because I think, even the most frequent visitor would have found something new to inspire. So thank you so much for that. And thank you for everyone who's either watching the presentation this evening or that will watch the recording later, for learning about Gibraltar and Cyprus. And it leaves me to remind everyone that booking with Charitable Travel as a social enterprise is a way where we can help you with your holiday plans, to have the holiday that you've yearned for through the pandemic, but at the same time help a charity with a donation equivalent to 5% of your holiday price. And so, that's for both Cyprus and Gibraltar is undoubtedly going to mean somewhere around at least a £50 donation to a charity that really, really needs it. And as we know, they've been suffering during the pandemic as well.